Hi, I just wanted to thank everybody for hopping in and sharing this time and space, and wanted to introduce myself. My name's Jennifer Franco. I am a health and safety advisor. I'm working at Suncor Firebag out in the oil and gas industry in Alberta for the folks that are all over Canada on this call. The reason for my messaging today is the tools that I'm about to share with you guys are very impactful tools, and they're backed by science. The initial development of the mental health continuum was in response to war veterans that were coming back with significant PTSD and depression and anxiety disorders. And that initial development of that program ended up, in the workplace as well, because of the prevalence of mental health related WCB claims, which total about 30% of the claims that are reported into WCB a year. So when it comes to mental health and my personal experience with it, it's been something that has been under the surface basically my whole life. I grew up in a large family in and around the Cold Lake area, and my cookum had about 13 kids, and 8 of which were men. So I had 7 uncles, and my father was one of those gentlemen, 6 of which have died by suicide. Some of them more gruesome in nature. One of them, most recent, was last year, September 18th. And, the one surviving uncle has attempted. So their prevalence there is, obviously significant, but in my workplace experience, I've actually responded to mental health related issues on more than one occasion, but one of them sticks out to me the most. One individual was reported to our site leadership to be suspect of being on drugs and not fit for duty. There were claims of the individual being belligerent on the flight. So obviously, once the individual got to site, security had gotten in contact with us, and myself and our superintendent went to retrieve the individual and start the initial assessment and investigation. Once we got the individual into our custody, there was no signs or symptoms of any drug-related use. There was no physical symptoms. There was no redness to the eyes. There was no flushness to the skin, no breathing, irregularities, nothing of that nature. When we were in a group situation and started the Q&A, the individual was, very, very meek and not disclosing too much. But once I got him behind closed doors, I helped him drop those barriers and, just started to ask questions of how come he was late to a shift, because he was 3 days late. And he disclosed to me that he had been drinking with his girlfriend and he just completely blacked out. He woke up in the hospital 3 days later and didn't know or recollect anything that took place, and he had significant alcohol poisoning. The individual said he didn't really drink that much, so it was quite a surprise to him as well. Fast forward to on his way to work, he disclosed to me when he was in the airport terminal waiting for the flight that he had experienced some of his work colleagues and friends talking to him, and they were making fun of him in terms of, his journeymanship and, poking fun. And he was, basically responding to these folks that were speaking to him, but when he was in the airport terminal, he was by himself. So the voices that he was hearing were actually not of anybody that was in and around his vicinity. So during that time when he was experiencing that, he also said that there was static that came from his phone and basically went airborne and then dropped onto his head, and he felt static through his braids. He said he went to the bathroom and did not see anything. He didn't see anything in his braids, so he was kind of confused at what was taking place there. While he was telling me this, these experiences, I could correlate them with some experiences that my brother had experienced when he was 17 and initially diagnosed with schizophrenia. He went through a significant psychosis prior to the diagnoses, and those comparable experiences, definitely reflected to me that this was a mental health related situation and we needed to care for it a little bit differently. I did get back in front of our leadership and, gave them my thoughts in terms of it. There was still some apprehension there because of the initial response from security saying that this is drug related, but, with extra reinforcement in terms of my thought process, looking into the employee file and taking note that he had been involved in a workplace incident before, and that he did an A&D for us, and that came back negative. So to me, it doesn't correlate. If an individual has done A&D for us and is still currently working with us because of a negative result, likely drugs or alcohol is not like the first indicator here. So long and short of it, this individual, we got to proper care in town. We had a safe individual take him there immediately. He ended up going through a process of assessment and did end up coming back to work for us after about 2 months. And I, of course, those are the stories that really stick with us because there was some success found here. I ended up working with the same individual 5 years down the road, and the changes that actually took place in his life after that were amazing. Like, he showed me his wedding photos and a picture of his brand new daughter, and he was just so happy to be able to share that with me after that experience. So I was ecstatic. At any given time, we can move from the healthy side of the spectrum to reacting to mentally ill, to mentally injured, but that means that we can still get back from there too with the proper supports, self-care. Back to my family history. The reason why this is so prevalent to me is in my immediate family, there's my mother, my father. I have 3 siblings, all of which are younger than me, and all of which are mentally ill. 2 diagnosable mental illness, and 1 undiagnosed, but there's no shadow of doubt that there is mental illness. It's just never been diagnosed due to current state of affairs here in our social systems. They are not conducive to an individual getting help in terms of, somebody with no impulse control. So my brother's been diagnosed with schizophrenia. My sister, my youngest sister, was diagnosed with PTSD and depression, acute depression. And my other sister is currently she's in a homeless state and in and around the Hope Mission area of Edmonton. We are very hopeful for the new legislation that has been proposed by Premier Danielle Smith in terms of the Compassionate Interventions Act. I know that we're about 18 months out before any approvals around that. But, so it's just a matter of time and space and, holding strong. And hopefully we'll be able to utilize something like that to help our family members who may be a danger to themselves and potentially others out there, and have care mandated for folks who have no impulse control. So the moral of the story is taking this away from the family situation and back into the workplace. I've experienced supporting folks on multiple occasions with this information that I'm about to put in front of you guys, and I just hope that you all share that message, share it, and keep the language alive, keep empowering people with proper language and reducing that stigma. And I'm sure that everybody on this call knows how to communicate empathetically with a good listening ear. Sometimes that's all somebody needs. So thank you, and I hope to see you again.